When Elon Musk entered the Tesla factory, he blended in among the employees and nobody recognized him. Not even the well-known one morning, Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, stood in front of the mirror, studying his reflection. His typical comfortable clothing and hoodie had been replaced with something much simpler. A Tesla worker's uniform, bulky safety glasses rested on his nose, and his hand held a lunchbox.
As we reflect on this story, subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more daily stories that need to be heard. Hit that subscribe button.
Elon was not only the CEO, but also carrying out a daring experiment undercover among the labor force. But what he found shocked him. The workers, who had previously been seen as mere machines, were now the ones determining Tesla's future. With a groan, Elon started to practice during a late meeting with production line reports. He had the notion to incorporate something he rarely had to do, continue to arrive full of grievances, long hours, inexplicable delays, and unspoken frustrations. As someone who constantly sought accuracy and advancement, these shortcomings gnawed at Elon, his go-to remedy. Numerous meetings and top-level directives felt pointless, and now he needed the truth and he wanted to see it for himself. You have to know what they see and feel. While tying up his steel-toed boots, Elon murmured to himself that he could hear his helper talking about security dangers and the potential for the media to learn, but it didn't matter. Realizing that he needed to blend in with the population was more important than image or publicity, it was simpler than he had anticipated to break into the facility that morning. As hundreds of workers clocked into Tesla's Gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada, Elon felt a twinge of guilt as he observed the weary faces. The warm smiles of his co-workers ignored him as he joined the group making their way to the production floor. Inside, the atmosphere was lively, with workers weaving through stations, robotic arms moving precisely, and machines running continuously. Every movement seemed practiced, but Elon continued to watch, wondering how many tales there were of struggle and triumph stay hidden. Behind these walls, his tale was straightforward. An intermediate career mechanic named Alex had moved from a smaller factory with some care and instruction. Elon Musk was just another cog in the machine, all right. He concealed his true identity, and as he traveled to his designated station, his heart raced with exhilaration rather than terror for the first time in years. Alex, the supervisor. "We don't have time for slow starters over here. You're learning with Mark." Ethan, a wiry man with keen eyes, yelled. Mark, a vibrant man in his late 20s, nodded curtly. "I hope you're prepared since this is a serious job." Although they weren't harsh, his remarks weren't encouraging. Someone who had witnessed too many new faces come and go could have issued a warning. Elon said with a smile, "I'll do my best," shot with every hour that went by. Elon entered a world he had only ever seen on a screen before. The work required concentration and speed, and as he turned screws and tightened bolts, Mark watched every move intently. Mark had no tolerance for mistakes, and by the end of the shift, Elon's hands hurt and his legs felt like they might give out. But what stuck with him more than the physical exhaustion was the stories he had heard about a single mother working extra hours to pay the rent, a young man saving money to go back to school, or a veteran quietly battling old wounds was at the center of Tesla. When the second day arrived and the cracks in Tesla's seemingly flawless exterior started to show, the atmosphere was heavier and full of anticipation as Elon stepped onto the factory floor for his shift. The initial excitement of his adventure was replaced by the harsh reality of the work. The pace was relentless and unyielding, but this was precisely why he was there to live and experience what his employees went through. The people who made his dreams possible, and they weren't just numbers on a balance sheet. Throughout each day, Mark didn't waste any time in giving Elon assignments. "You're working on the assembly line today," gave him a pair of gloves and explained that it was easy enough to screw bolts into the car frame every 3 seconds. There was little time for doubt because the production line ran more quickly than Elon had anticipated, and the metal components and actions passed by in a flash in a matter of minutes. Elon made a mistake that wasn't forgotten. "Hurry up." He dropped some bolts, which slipped from his hands and were drawn away by the conveyor belt. Elon was taken aback by the work culture more than simply the physical demands, as Mark yelled from the other end of the line, "You're slowing down the entire team." He also paid closely to the talks going on around him, which included a mix of dry humor and frustration, the latest software upgrade. Once more, the robots are glitching. Elon's muscles ached by lunchtime, but what he heard made him think even more. Workers told stories about irregular hours, broken equipment that slowed down progress, and the constant pressure to meet quotas at any cost. Beneath the friendly exterior, there was a simmering frustration that the glossy company reports could never convey. One worker muttered, "Yeah, and guess who's staying late to fix it?" Another worker responded with a dry laugh. Elon was by himself in the break room, watching a group of employees gathered near the vending machines are talking about the third accident that has occurred on the factory floor. Elon realized as he sipped his coffee that the problem at the factory wasn't just about productivity, but about the people, and the stakes were much higher than he had ever imagined. At the end of that day, Elon witnessed his first major incident in which one of the robotic arms on the production line malfunctioned and came to a complete stop, bringing the entire operation to a halt. He said in a voice heavy with sorrow, "If that ladder isn't fixed soon, someone's going to get seriously hurt." Supervisors arrived quickly to take charge of the circumstance. Mark hurriedly grabbed a toolkit while muttering curses. "Has been broken all week," he complained, "but fixing it properly will take time, and we don't have much." Elon offered to help with this, and he quickly joined Mark in fixing the robotic arm. Eventually, they were able to restore it, but not before losing almost an hour of production. The delay caused the line to swell, and workers further down the line gave them disapproving looks as the shift ended. Despite Tesla's innovations, Elon was unable to eliminate the general tension that pervaded the factory. Abandoned, their voices were muffled by the unrelenting pursuit of progress, and the system's flaws were now more evident than ever. But as Elon delved deeper into the factory's rhythm, he found something surprising: creative moments that had the potential to alter everything. By the third day, however, Elon had become used to the production line's pace, and the tasks no longer felt like work to him. Even though his body still ached, his hands were calloused from the repetitive motions, and his back hurt. The price individuals were paying, the vulnerabilities in Tesla's ostensibly flawless system, and the talks that looked insignificant now took on new significance, were what disturbed him more than the physical tiredness. Significance. The malfunctioning robotic arm was a part of a series of problems with other devices, not a singular occurrence. Workers had to race against time, doing improvised repairs frequently at the expense of safety, due to minor issues that went unreported because everyone was focused on maintaining production speed. Elon moved swiftly, diving to catch the heavy metal panel before it hit the ground. His heart raced as he carefully put the panel back in place after Alex heard a voice shout as it dropped from the rack. A young man called Ryan, a neighboring employee, smiled wearily. "You're fast. We need more people like you," he said. But Elon didn't miss this chance. Was another indication of a more serious problem? An overworked staff that is stressed out and exhausted in the break room. It was a really peaceful afternoon. When the work schedule was suddenly adjusted without warning, a heated debate had broken out earlier. Elon sat with Ryan and a few other employees and listened to them air their grievances. They kept assuring us that we were a part of a larger mission. "It doesn't feel that way," Ryan replied, pointing to the Tesla branding on the wall, "but it feels more like replaceable screws." The worst aspect, according to another employee, is that they never pay attention. "We've been complaining about the broken ladder for weeks, but does anyone up there give a damn?" Swept across Elon. These individuals were the foundation of Tesla, not merely employees, the ones who made ideas come true and who were being pushed to the limit until an accident happened that night, which made Elon think more deeply. A worker named Emma was hurt when a piece of equipment jammed, cutting her arm deeply with a sharp piece of metal. Supervisors raced to her aid, but Emma's expression was one of frustration as well as pain. "I told you so," she said through clenched teeth as her arm was bandaged. This thing was malfunctioning, but no one paid attention until it was too late. Elon left, his mind racing, having created Tesla to be the pinnacle of invention. But on this manufacturing floor, it seemed as though the employees were the company's lifeblood. Elon stayed behind to help clean up after the shift finished, but in reality he only wanted time to realize that the problems were too clear. But what could he do to repair them without interfering? They weren't just fighting against machiners, they were fighting a system that seemed to dismiss their importance. Elon came here to discover answers to the fragile balance of production, but now that he was delving further into a sea of unanswered problems, just when it looked hopeless, he started to observe something extraordinary, a spark of innovation among the workers. And by the weekend, he had gained their trust. Co-workers, he was no longer the awkward newbie fumbling with bolts. Instead, he had developed into Alex, the diligent individual who Elon saw a group of workers assembling around a broken workstation one evening as the last shift was coming to an end. The welding robot arm had been malfunctioning all week, its accuracy deteriorating to the point of being useless. So instead of waiting for the repair team, the workers chose to handle things themselves. He listened and offered assistance when needed, and this camaraderie allowed him to witness unexpected moments of brilliance. Using spare components from other machines and a little ingenuity, Ryan, the young man Elon had previously saved, took the initiative, resolved the robot's malfunctioning circuit board, and restored the machine's ability to weld joints as it had the day before. Ryan grinned and wiped oil off his hands, saying, "One not bad, huh? Guys like us novices can do this." Elon was unable to conceal his surprise. "How did you determine that?" "When you spend enough time with these machines, you begin to notice trends," Ryan shrugged. "The management doesn't have time for this, so we just fixed it ourselves." Elon saw more outstanding moments in the days that followed, but the spirit of creativity didn't end there. Workers enhanced assembly procedures and altered tools to make their jobs easier, saved valuable seconds, and even rewired robots to prevent interruptions. These weren't only grievances. They were solutions that were formed out of necessity, but there was a clear disconnect. These initiatives hardly ever reached management since supervisors were too preoccupied with meeting goals, and employees didn't feel empowered to communicate their ideas with anyone outside of their own teams. The point of turning appeared at a casual gathering of employees in the break room to talk about ways to address the persistent problems on the production line. The topic of discussion was full of heated debates and laughs, but below it all was a clear goal. If we changed the conveyor timing, we could reduce the amount of time per shift by 5 minutes. Elon cleared his throat and said, "But who's going to listen to us?" Another worker retorted, "We've tried before. When you speak up for the first time, what if someone would pay attention? What if you could communicate with superiors directly?" The room went silent, and the employees exchanged doubtful looks. "That's a smart move." "But that's not how things work around here," Alex Ryan replied. The workers weren't the issue. They were the solution. All they needed was a voice and a platform to speak from. Elon didn't dispute, but in his opinion, things were moving forward and he had seen enough. It was time for Elon to reveal who he really was. The question wasn't whether they would accept him, but what would happen next and how they would respond to the truth. The morning factory meeting proceeded as this was the ideal setting for what Elon had prepared. He stood in the rear of the room with his worker uniform goggles still on his head as regular employees lined up side by side with managers making announcements above the buzz of the machinery, getting ready to start the shift. Ryan gave him a gentle prod and muttered, "Okay, Alex. You seem a little worried." Elon faked a smile, saying, "Yeah, just thinking about something big." After the supervisors were done, Elon came forward, his heart thumping more forcefully than it had in years, even though he had attended many board meetings and product introductions. He took a deep breath and said, "W up," since this moment seemed different, real, and intensely personal. "I have a few things to say before we begin. My name isn't Alex." His voice broke through the muttering of the crowd, grabbing everyone's attention. The room erupted in amazement, and Ryan furrowed his brow. "What are you talking about?" Elon asked, taking a big breath before continuing. "My name is Elon Musk." The room became silent for a second, then there were gasps. "I've been working with you for the past week to understand what life is like here and what you deal with every day." Whispers. The air was filled with uncertain laughter as well. No one whispered, "Is this some sort of joke?" But Elon. He removed his goggles, stood erect, and said, "I'm here because I need to comprehend what's actually taking place in this factory, not through meetings or reports, but directly from you, as you are the one who made Tesla what it is today." Ryan looked at him in disbelief as he came to terms with the reality. "Hold on, are you serious? You're actually him." Elon agreed. "And I've learned more in the last week than I have in the previous year. I've witnessed the difficulties you have, such as malfunctioning equipment, unreasonable expectations, and a system that doesn't always appreciate your opinions. But I've also seen your inventiveness, fortitude, and problem-solving skills. It's something that no one else could accomplish." The room is still quiet as the employees exchange skeptical looks that gradually give way. Elon's voice became more confident in response to curiosity and some hope, and what I've seen this week is something I can't ignore. At the core of this business, you are innovators and problem solvers, not simply employees, and everything is going to change as of right now. First, we'll establish a direct line of communication between the factory and leadership. Your suggestions and concerns must be addressed, and we'll fix the equipment problems you're having. No more shortcuts. Elon grinned as a hand shot up from the back of the room. The employees started to whisper again, this time cautiously, as Ryan moved forward, still in awe. "But I'm beginning to smile now." "Accomplish you honestly think?" Elon said. "Yes, but I need your assistance since I can't accomplish this on my own." For the first time, many of them felt that the revelation was only the beginning, and that the real challenge was turning promises into action and demonstrating that leadership wasn't about standing at the top, but rather standing alongside those who had built the solid foundation. The days following Elon's revelation were anything but ordinary. They were days of transformation, and true to his word, he didn't just stand there and walk away. This was done in order to make this place as innovative and efficient as we all know it can be. He kept his word, listened to the employees' complaints, and started making the first improvements after. Safety was the issue to address. Emma received first attention for her injuries from the defective ladder right away, and a safety inspection team was sent out to the facility to look for any more potential dangers. Employees who had previously been used to hazardous working conditions felt more confident speaking up. Additionally, Elon established a straightforward yet groundbreaking system called an open innovation forum, where employees could send ideas straight to management without any red tape or middlemen. Within a few days, submissions began to pour in. Ryan's recommendation to modify the conveyor timing was put into practice, saving valuable assembly time. Emma suggested redesigning a heavy tool to ease worker strain and boost productivity. Previously discussed ideas during breaks now had a direct route to senior leadership. The atmosphere in the factory started to change, with those who had previously felt like interchangeable parts of a huge machine now feeling like essential contributors to Tesla's mission. The changes were felt not only within the factory, but also throughout the entire organization, and Elon was deeply affected by this experience. Mark brought the lessons he had learned from the factory back to his CEO role, and at a company-wide meeting, he candidly discussed his secret experience of a week spent in the factory, highlighting the need of connection and humility. "I learned more about leadership from him than from years spent in boardrooms," he added. What do you think of Elon's efforts to change how workers are perceived and respected? Would you be willing to stand up and change antiquated practices in your own workplace? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Innovation comes from all levels, especially from those closest to the work. As leaders, it is our responsibility to listen, empower, and adapt in addition to directing. This story is a clear testament to the power of listening and the potential for change driven by the workers themselves. If this story has touched you and motivated you to bring about constructive change in the community, please share it without hesitation, with friends and family to collectively inspire faith in change and creativity. We sincerely appreciate your continued support of the channel. We hope that you will overlook any minor errors that may have occurred during the content creation process. We wish everyone happiness, peace, and good health in life. Stay tuned for more.